Get ready for a high-stakes in Classico in Jerusalem. Get ready for a must-win encounter for the Stars of the East. And the Tier 2 is getting ready for the semi-finals. All this and more on this Match Week 38 preview show. Yeah, people, welcome back to Jamaica Fun, and we are almost at the finish line, and thus each match this weekend carriage must wait. But before starting, we will quickly look back on Thursday's rescheduled game between Cavalier and Mount Pleasant. The Richard King tucked away a penalty in the 96th minute to give the defending champions Cavalier a 2-1 victory over the league leaders Mount Pleasant. Alright, now onto this weekend's preview. Waterhouse versus Arnett Gardens. The Junglers got a much needed win this past Monday against Vere Phoenix United, which was their first win in 5 games. What's even better, Montego loss to Mount Pleasant gives the Junglers a glimmer of hope of reaching that second place spot. But first, they will have to get past fierce rivals Waterhouse, who are on a red-hot form over the last few weeks. Firehouse are currently on a 7-game undefeated run, which propelled them back into the playoff driving seat with 2 games remaining. Andre Fletcher has become almost unplayable, and with the defense becoming a rock, the Junglers will need to pull out all the stops to get 3 points in Jerusalem. Something they had done before earlier this season when Joel Jones' header gave them a 1-0 win back in November. I will be shocked if this one is also a 1-goal game when Waterhouse hosts Arnett Gardens at the Jerusalem Mini Stadium this Sunday. Montego United versus Cavalier. Montego are still smarting from their 2-0 defeat in Drax Hall, but they have to delete that from memory to secure their semi-final spot. Coach Paul Davis will know a victory this Sunday will boot their spot there and will most likely hammer home that fact in training this past week. This team is generally better at home, and with Chanel Thomas back, they practically have their full strength squad back and raring to go. But they will be taking on the defending champs, Cavalier, who has really found their groove in the last few weeks. I mean, even the defense has looked a lot better, and they should be feeling confident after beating Mount Pleasant last Thursday. The only worry for Coach Rudolph Speed before heading to the West Coast will be the health and status of starman Dwayne Atkinson after his early exit from the Mount Pleasant match due to injury. But everyone else should be available and raring to go. Also, interesting enough, Cavalier has an outside chance of getting a second place spot themselves if they win both of the remaining games by a wide enough margin. But Montego will remember their last meeting at Catching All, where they held the champs to a 1-1 draw. We will all tune in to see what happens next when Montego United hosts Cavalier 3:30 this Sunday. Chapter Maroons versus Tivoli Guns. The Maroons were easily swept aside by Cavalier in the last match and now found themselves in 2 must-win games to end the season. Coach Vassarinas has opted for a more pragmatic style since he took over a couple of weeks ago, and it remains to be seen if it will be the right approach to get them to safety. On the other side of the coin, their next opponent, Tivoli Gardens, has no time for such approach, as anything less than 3 points might put a massive dent in their playoffs hopes. Coach Jerome Wade will be hoping his attackers are much more clinical this week, as the Maroons back 5 don't give up too many chances nowadays. Luckily, they are one of the highest scorers from set pieces this season, and also, depending on what's going on in the other matches, Chabaton may need to push for goals and risk being countered. And if that happens, we may have another wild 3-2 encounter on our hands, like what we got back in December. So you cannot afford to miss this one when Chabaton Maroons take on Tivoli Gardens at the Anthony Spalding Complex this Sunday. Harbour View versus Vere Phoenix United. Tivoli's last victims were the Stars of the East, and that 2-1 loss has left them in a dangerous position in the table. Harborview fans will tell you they have been in this position many times before and always found a way to pull through. But I'm quite sure even they will be sweating buckets if they pick up anything less than 3 points this weekend against an already relegated Vere Phoenix United. Butler's team is officially banished to the forgotten realms of Tier 2, but I am sure they will love to drag another big name down with them, so if I was Harborview, I'm expecting a decent fight, but what I will say is that the Stars of the East are a far better team at home. The only problem they have, they need someone like what Andre Fletcher is doing for Waterhouse to step up and put this team on their back and drag them to safety. And with a trip to the jungle on the final day, anything short of 3 points will be unacceptable. But if you are a betting neutral, place money on another draw as both teams failed to beat each other in their last 5 meetings. It will be interesting to see what happens next when Harbour hosts Vere United this Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Racing United versus Humber Lion. One team that is hoping their Clarendon brothers do them a favour in St Andrew is Humber Lion. The Lions are the current occupants of the final relegation spot, but coach Alex Thomas and his team should be feeling optimistic since their recent performances has been good lately. Sure, they may end up regretting dropping points at home versus Dunbeholden last week, but all they have to do is win both of their remaining matches and all is forgotten. And their next opponent may be ripe for the taking. Racing has suffered one of the worst implosive runs in the JPL's history after losing 5 straight games and drifted away from the dream playoff spot. They just looked tired in their matches against Maroons and Cavalier last week and probably are now looking forward to our early summer vacation after punching above their weight all season long. And who knows, with the pressure off, they may be back to their expressive best and enjoy their football in the final 2 rounds. They also have never beaten the Lions, so that may be extra motivation before they sign off this season. It should be an interesting encounter when Racing United hosts Humber Lion this Sunday at Fernita Park. Dunbeholden versus Portmore United. We are being treated to another potential great Portmore derby this Sunday and is one of great importance to the host Dunbeholden. The Harold Thomas-led team did well to escape Everettville with a point last week and now knows they control their own JPL future in their hands. But this is still a team that are winless in their last 11 games and will be desperate to break that horrific streak when they welcome neighbours Portmore United. Portmore were really not themselves in the loss to Waterhouse and will be hoping for 3 points to drum up some momentum heading into the playoffs. Plus, it would be a massive bonus to end their major rivals' JPL lives in the process. But beating Dumbeholden in Dumbeholden is normally a difficult task, one Portmore themselves failed to do when a Chevalier Watkins goal in the 96th minute gave the home team a share of the spoils back in December. As a neutral, I would love another exciting encounter like that one when Dunbeholden hosts Portmore United in Dunbeholden at 3:30 p.m. Mount Pleasant versus Maroons United. The league leaders had a rare slip-up in their last match against Cavalier, but there is no disputing that they are still a juggernaut in this league. Tapa Whitmore is still giving players opportunity to work their way into the starting 11 for the semi-finals, and this upcoming home match versus Maroons is another huge opportunity for many of them. But things will be way more intriguing from a Maroons perspective. A few weeks ago, many believed they were favorites to join Vere in Tier 2, but back-to-back wins has lifted the spirits in the camp and lifted them up the table. Marlon Pennycook seemed to be the hero they were waiting for as goals are finally starting to flow, but the defense will be the one under the microscope in Jacksall this Sunday. Maroons has failed to keep a clean sheet in their last 9 matches against Mount Pleasant, and with the St. Anne-based club being the best goal scorers this season, this streak is likely to continue. I mean, in the previous 2 meetings this season, Maroons shipped 10 goals, so my money is on Mount Pleasant scoring at home. But I am sure Maroons coach Jermaine Thomas would be delighted if his team gets a point, so I expect them to play a bit reserved in St. Anne. I guess we will see when Mount Pleasant hosts Maroons United this Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Okay, as usual, before my predictions, here's the local news. The official dates for this year's Jamaica Premier League playoffs has been set. It all begins on May 8th and will wrap up with the Super Finals on May 23rd. The Jamaican Championship, otherwise known as Tier 2, is gearing up for its final round before the semi-finals this Saturday. 3 teams, Med Forest, Falmouth United and Treasure Beach, have already booked their spot in the Final 4, so all eyes will turn to Royal Lakes Field at 3 p.m. when Spanish Town Police FC takes on Limehall FC. Limehall currently holds the final spot on the Zone 8 table by only a point and will need to avoid defeat to Police to book their semi-final spot. A reminder, the winner of both semi-finals are granted promotion to the JPL, so this match is very massive. Okay, that's it for the news. Now time for my predictions. Alright, the Classico, it's very close one to call. But honestly, I think Waterhouse is going to edge Arnett Gardens 1-0. Alright, Montego versus Cavalier. They drew 1-1 last time, and I think that will be the exact same result this time around. Chapton versus Tivoli. I think Chapton will put up more of a fight, but Tivoli is winning this one 2-1. Harbour versus Vere. This is by far the trickiest game to call this weekend. Harbour are generally better at home, but they're not scoring much goals. I think this might end up in another draw at 1-1. Racing versus Holen. Racing are on dreadful form, but there is no doubt that their team is still very talented. But Holen are also desperate for the win, and I can see this game ending Holen 2, Racing United 1. Dunbeholden versus Portmore. Portmore need a goal from someone, and in fact they will take 2 or 3. I think they would go out for this one, but I also think Dumbo will make this tough. Don't be surprised this ends Dumbo 1, Portmore United 1. Mount Pleasant versus Maroons. I think Mount Pleasant is going to take out their frustration on Maroons after that defeat to Cavalier. Their squad is just too good. So I see Mount Pleasant winning this one 3-0. But alright guys, that's all from my predictions. Let me know in the comment section below what you think will happen this weekend. And otherwise, thank you all for watching, and please like, subscribe and share as we look to keep you all up to date on everything in the JPL leading up to the final in May. Otherwise, for great JPL content, you're already at the right place. JPL Fan. YouTube, big up yourself.